The night sky was heavy with smoke, and strange ships hovered like dark clouds above the ruined city. Their lights cut through the dust, cold and sharp, while the ground below burned with fire. The aliens had come long ago, and they ruled now with iron claws. To them, humans were weak, broken, and useless. In the corner of the broken city, where the stone walls were cracked and the streets were empty, a child cried. He was small, wrapped in a torn blanket. His cries echoed in the ruins, but no human came to help. No mother, no father, only silence. The aliens found him. Tall figures with pale armor and glowing eyes walked closer, their shadows stretching long in the firelight. One of them bent down, staring at the child. The baby reached up with tiny hands, as if asking to be lifted. But the alien sneered. "This one is weak," the alien hissed in a strange, cold tongue. "Not worth raising. The humans will fade. They have no strength left." Another alien stepped forward, its voice sharp like metal scraping stone. "Leave him. He will not survive the night. A fitting end for their kind." And with that, they turned away, their boots crushing ashen stone as they left the child alone. The baby cried louder, the sound carrying through the broken streets. The flames crackled. The wind howled. And then, silence fell. Not because the child had stopped crying, but because something else was listening. From the mountains beyond the city, from caves where no alien dared to go, eyes opened. Golden eyes, deep and ancient, filled with fire. A great shape moved through the darkness, wings unfolding against the night sky. It was a dragon. The ground trembled as it landed near the ruins. Its scales shimmered like molten metal, and smoke curled from its nostrils. The child's cries drew the beast closer. The dragon lowered its massive head, staring at the fragile human lying on the cold stone. For a moment, the world seemed still. The dragon sniffed the air, then let out a deep growl that shook the walls. The baby looked up, eyes wide, but did not cry. Instead, he reached a hand toward the dragon's nose. The beast froze. Its golden eyes narrowed, as if searching the child's soul. And then it felt it, something hidden, something powerful. A spark. The dragon pulled back, smoke swirling around its jaws. It should have left. Dragons had long avoided humans, for the bond between them was broken ages ago. Yet this child was different. The spark inside him was alive, calling to the dragon in a way it had not felt for centuries. The dragon lifted the baby gently in its claw. Its wings spread wide, stirring the ashes of the ruined city. With a single powerful leap, it rose into the night sky, carrying the child away from the burning ruins. Far below, the aliens paused. They looked up, eyes narrowing as they saw the shadow vanish into the clouds. "Strange," one muttered. "The dragons should not care for human young." Another replied coldly, "It matters not. The child will not live long. He will be nothing." But the stars above told a different story. The dragon carried the baby deep into the mountains, to a valley untouched by war. There, hidden by cliffs and mist, dragons had made their home. The great beast landed, cradling the child in its claw. Other dragons stirred, their eyes glowing in the darkness. They gathered around, hissing and growling, confused by what they saw. "A human," one rumbled, its voice like thunder. "Why bring him here? They are weak. They are broken." The golden-eyed dragon lowered the child to the ground, but kept one wing curled protectively around him. "This one is not like the others," it said, its voice steady and deep. "I felt it, the mark of destiny. The bond is not dead. Not yet." The other dragons growled uneasily, fire flickering in their throats. But none dared move closer. The baby had stopped crying. His tiny hand gripped the edge of the dragon's wing, as if he belonged there. The golden-eyed dragon spoke again, louder now, its words echoing through the valley. "He will grow among us. He will learn our ways. And when the time comes, he will rise." The others roared in answer, not agreement, not rejection, but uncertainty. Still, they did not challenge the choice. The child, abandoned by aliens, forgotten by humans, had found a new home. His story was only beginning. That night, as the stars burned bright above, the dragons whispered among themselves. Some called him foolish. Others called him cursed. But one word repeated again and again, in voices low and uneasy. "Chosen." And deep in the ruins of the city, the aliens spoke too. They told each other the child would die. They told each other he was worthless. But far away, in the Valley of Dragons, destiny had already shifted. The boy grew, not among humans, but among dragons. The golden-eyed dragon who had saved him became his guardian. The others called her Sereth, an old and powerful dragon whose fire had once shaken mountains. She carried the boy in her claws, fed him what she could, and kept him warm beneath her wings. At first, the other dragons had no trust. They circled the boy with suspicion, their voices rumbling like storms. "Why keep him?" one asked. "He will bring trouble," another hissed. But Sereth only replied, "He carries something greater than himself. You do not feel it because you do not wish to." The boy's cries softened as days passed. He began to smile, to laugh, to reach for the scales of the dragons around him. His tiny hands pulled at their wings without fear. Slowly, their suspicion faded. Even the fiercest among them could not resist his laughter. Years turned like pages in a book. The boy, once abandoned, grew into a child who ran barefoot across the Valley of Dragons. His hair was dark and wild, his skin scarred by sun and wind. He climbed rocks, tumbled down slopes, and laughed even when scraped and bruised. Sereth taught him more than survival. She taught him to listen. When the wind shifted, when the ground trembled, when fire moved through the air, she told him to feel it, not just see it. "The world speaks," she rumbled one night as stars glowed above. "Few humans ever listened. Will you?" The boy nodded, though he did not fully understand. But as time passed, he began to hear. The crack of a stone before it fell, the rush of wings before he saw them, the faint hum in the air when dragons gathered to breathe fire together. The valley became alive in his senses. And more than that, he began to understand the dragons themselves. At first, their growls and roars were only sounds. But slowly, the tones carried meaning. He would laugh when they laughed, grow serious when they grew angry. One day, to the shock of all, he spoke a single word in their tongue. "Fire!" The valley went silent. Dragons turned, their glowing eyes narrowing. A human, speaking the word of flame. Sereth only lowered her great head, her eyes filled with pride. "The bond returns," she whispered. The boy grew into a youth, stronger and braver. He learned to climb onto Sereth's back, clinging to the ridges of her scales as she soared into the sky. His heart raced each time the ground vanished below, but he never let go. The wind tore at him, the cloud swallowed him, yet he laughed as if he belonged there. "Again!" he would shout when they landed. And Sereth, though ancient and weary, would rise again, wings cutting the heavens. The other dragons began to respect him. He listened to their wisdom. He carried no weapon, yet stood without fear among their flames. When they argued, he stepped between them, small but unyielding, and sometimes even the fiercest would quiet. But even in his joy, the boy felt a shadow. At night, when the valley was silent, strange dreams came. He saw the burning city where he had been left. He saw the tall figures of the aliens, their eyes glowing with cruelty. He heard their voices calling him weak, worthless, discarded. He woke with sweat on his skin and fire in his chest. Sereth noticed. "The past whispers to you," she said one morning, her breath warm around him. "You will face it one day. You must not fear it." The boy asked, "Why did they leave me? Why did no human come for me?" Sereth was silent for a long time. Then she answered, "Humans have suffered. They have been broken. But not destroyed. You will see them again. You must be ready." The boy clenched his fists, unsure whether to feel anger or sorrow. He belonged to the dragons, yet he longed to know what it meant to be human. The years continued, and with them, his bond deepened. When he placed a hand on Sereth's scales, he felt warmth flow into him, not only from her body but from something deeper, something alive. Once, when he slipped from a cliff, fire burst from Sereth before she even moved, forming a cushion of heat that saved him. The other dragons whispered in unease. "He awakens," they said. "The old magic stirs." But they did not yet understand how much. One evening, as the sun bled into the mountains, the boy stood on a peak with Sereth beside him. The sky was quiet, almost too quiet. The air tasted sharp. Sereth's golden eyes narrowed. "They are coming," she growled. Far in the distance, lights flickered. Not stars, not fire, but ships. Alien ships, cutting through the clouds like blades. The boy felt his chest tighten. He had seen them in his dreams. Now, they were real. "They are looking for something," Sereth said, her voice grim. "Perhaps for you." The boy stared at the ships, his heart pounding. For the first time, he felt fear not for himself, but for the dragons who had raised him. Seraph lowered her head. "Stay close to me. The time of hiding may soon be over." The ships drew nearer, their shadows spreading across the mountains. The boy's life with dragons was about to change forever. The boy woke up to a strange sound echoing through the cave. At first, he thought it was the wind, but soon he realized it was something deeper, like a heartbeat that did not belong to him. The cave walls pulsed faintly with light, as if they were alive. He rubbed his eyes and tried to calm his racing heart, but the sound kept growing stronger. He walked toward the source and soon reached a wide chamber deep inside the mountain. At the center of the chamber lay a massive egg. It glowed softly, its shell covered with faint golden lines that looked like lightning frozen in place. The boy froze, his breath caught in his chest. He had never seen anything like it. He had heard stories of dragons whispered even among the aliens who once owned him, but they spoke of them as ancient, dangerous beings, long gone from the galaxy. And yet here it was, an egg. The boy felt an odd pull inside his chest, like invisible hands calling him closer. He slowly stepped forward. His bare feet made soft sounds on the cold ground. The egg pulsed in rhythm with his heartbeat. For a moment, he thought it was only his imagination, but then he felt it again, his pulse and the egg's light moving as one. His hand reached out, shaking with fear and curiosity. The moment his fingers brushed the shell, a sudden surge of warmth flowed into him. Images flashed in his mind, skies filled with fire, wings spreading wide, and eyes that burned brighter than stars. He stumbled back, gasping, but the egg did not stop glowing. The heartbeat sound grew faster, louder. Then, with a deep crack, the shell began to break. The boy's eyes widened in awe and fear as pieces of glowing shell fell away. A small head pushed through, followed by a body covered in shimmering scales of gold and silver. The creature inside stretched its wings, weak but graceful, and let out a soft cry that echoed like music in the chamber. It was a dragon. The boy stood frozen, staring. He expected the dragon to roar, to attack, to burn him alive. But instead, the dragon turned its glowing eyes toward him. For a moment, they simply looked at each other, child and beast. Then the dragon let out another cry, softer this time, almost like a question. The boy slowly knelt down. "I don't understand," he whispered. His voice was shaky, but he did not move away. The dragon stepped forward, its small claws clicking on the stone floor. It lowered its head and pressed it gently against the boy's chest. The boy felt a sudden rush of warmth, not from fire but from connection. His fear melted away. In its place grew something else, trust. The heartbeat sound vanished from the cave. Instead, the boy now felt it inside him, a rhythm that was no longer only his own. He realized with wide eyes that their hearts were beating as one. Tears filled his eyes. For the first time since being abandoned, he did not feel alone. He gently touched the dragon's head. "I'll protect you," he whispered. "I promise." The dragon chirped, as if answering. Then it stretched its small wings and curled up against him, glowing faintly like a warm fire on a cold night. From that day, they were no longer just a boy and a beast. They were bound together by something deeper than blood or fate. The boy did not know it yet, but this was the first bond between human and dragon in countless years. A bond that would change the galaxy. Days passed, and the boy cared for the little dragon as if it were his only family. He shared the little food he found, fed it pieces of roasted root, and even carried water for it in broken shells. The dragon grew quickly, its wings stretching wider, its scales shining brighter. At night, the boy would curl against it for warmth, and the dragon would hum softly, a sound that soothed his fears. Sometimes, the boy wondered why the aliens had abandoned him. He wondered if they knew what he had found, or if this was something greater than them all. He had no answers, only the bond he now held close to his heart. One night, as the boy and the dragon rested near the cave entrance, a shadow passed over the stars. The boy stiffened. He recognized the sound. It was the low hum of alien ships. His heart pounded with dread. They had returned. The dragon lifted its head and growled softly, sparks flickering between its teeth though it was still young. The boy pressed a hand to its side, whispering, "Not yet. You're not ready." But deep inside, he knew this moment would come. The aliens had thrown him away as worthless, but now he carried a secret they would never allow. He was no longer just an abandoned child. He was the chosen one of a dragon. And the galaxy would soon know it. The boy looked into the dark sky where the ships hovered. For the first time in his life, he did not feel fear alone. He felt something stronger, hope, burning inside him like dragon fire. And behind him, the young dragon spread its small but growing wings, ready to face whatever came next. The night sky glowed red as the alien ships descended, their dark hulls blocking out the stars. The boy stood at the mouth of the valley with the young dragon beside him. The creature had grown fast, now as tall as a horse, its wings strong, its fire brighter. Yet, it was still too young to fight a war. And war was coming. The ground shook as heavy metal pods slammed into the earth. The aliens had landed. From the pods marched soldiers in shining armor, their eyes glowing blue. They carried weapons that hummed with deadly power. The boy's heart pounded, but he did not step back. He placed a steadying hand on the dragon's neck. "Stay with me," he whispered. From above, the great dragon stirred. Sereth was the first to land, her golden wings stretching wide as she roared a warning. One by one, others followed, surrounding the boy and his dragon. Fire crackled in their throats, and the air grew hot with their rage. The lead alien raised his weapon and spoke in a voice like ice. "Return the creature. It does not belong to you." The boy's fists clenched. "Neither did I," he shouted back. "You left me to die." The alien tilted his head slightly, studying the boy as if he were an insect. "A mistake. One we will now correct. Both you and the beast will be taken. The bond you share is dangerous." The dragons growled, their tails lashing. Sereth stepped forward, smoke curling from her jaws. "This child is under our protection. Leave now, or burn." The alien soldiers raised their weapons. "Then you will all burn." The first shot cut through the air like lightning. It struck the ground near the boy, exploding in a shower of dirt and flame. Dragons roared and launched into the sky, their wings creating hurricane winds. Fire rained down on the alien soldiers, burning through their armor, but their shields held strong. They fired back, beams of searing energy striking the cliffs and scorching dragon scales. The boy ran between the blasts, calling to the young dragon. "Fly! Go!" But the dragon refused to leave him. Instead, it opened its jaws and unleashed a stream of fire, slamming into the lead alien's shield and forcing him back. The battle shook the valley. Dragons swooped and clawed at alien ships, tearing metal apart with their talons. The aliens responded with energy cannons, blasting dragons out of the air. Screams and roars echoed through the night as both sides fell. The boy's chest ached with fear and fury. He hated them, these beings who had thrown him away like trash. Now they came to take everything from him again. He would not let them. Not this time. "Together," he whispered to the dragon. He climbed onto its back, gripping its warm scales. "Let's show them who we are." With a mighty flap, the dragon launched into the sky. The wind roared in the boy's ears, and the battlefield stretched below them. Alien ships turned their cannons upward, but the dragon was fast, weaving through beams of light. It dived low, blasting fire into a group of soldiers, then soared high again, its wings cutting through smoke. The boy felt strange energy building inside him, the same warmth he had felt when he first touched the egg. It pulsed through his veins, growing stronger with every beat of the dragon's wings. His hands burned with golden light. The lead alien saw him and shouted, "Bring them down!" A massive cannon on one of the ships turned toward them, humming with deadly power. The beam fired, a blinding bolt of light screaming through the sky. The boy shouted, lifting his glowing hands. The energy burst outward, forming a golden shield around them. The beam struck, and shattered. The explosion lit up the night, throwing both boy and dragon backward, but they did not fall. They hovered, glowing with shared power. Below, the dragons saw it too, the bond. It was no myth. It was real. Human and dragon as one. And it was powerful. Fear flickered in the lead alien's eyes. "Impossible," he hissed. "The bond was lost centuries ago." The boy stared down at him. "Not lost. Just waiting." The dragon roared and dived. Together, they slammed into the cannon, tearing through its metal and sending fire cascading across the ship. It exploded in a ball of flame. The remaining aliens began to retreat, their ships pulling away from the valley. The battle was over, for now. Smoke rose from the ground. Dragons lay injured, but they lived. The aliens had been driven back. The boy landed with the dragon beside Sereth. He was shaking, exhausted, but alive. The dragons bowed their heads slightly, a gesture of respect he had never seen before. Even Sereth lowered her head. "The bond has returned," she said softly. "You are no longer just a child. You are the beginning of something greater." The boy looked at the burning wreckage in the distance. He knew they would come back, stronger, angrier, more determined. But this time, he would be ready. The young dragon pressed its head against his shoulder, and he smiled. Together, they had done the impossible. Together, they would fight again. But as the stars flickered above, something moved in the darkness, a massive shadow larger than any ship before. A voice echoed across the valley, deep and cold. You have awakened what should have stayed forgotten. The boy's blood ran cold. This was not over. It had just begun. The valley was quiet after the battle, but the quiet was heavy. Smoke drifted in the air, the ground was scorched, and the bodies of fallen dragons and broken alien machines lay scattered. The boy sat on a rock with the young dragon beside him. His small hands were still glowing faintly with golden light, though he didn't understand why. He only knew one thing: the aliens would come back, stronger than before. The other dragons gathered around. Seraph, her golden scales dim from wounds, lowered her head. The bond is real, she said softly. We saw it with our own eyes. Human and dragon, heart and flame, together again. The old prophecy was not a lie. The boy blinked. Prophecy! Seratha's eyes glowed faintly in the darkness. Long ago, humans and dragons fought side by side. They were our riders, our partners, our kin. But the bond was broken when greed and fear tore the worlds apart. The bond was said to return only when darkness threatened all. The boy swallowed hard. And that's me. The dragons were silent. Then Seraph said, You are the first in countless years. That makes you the chosen one. The boy's heart raced. He had been abandoned, called worthless, left to die. Now these mighty beings called him chosen. He didn't know if he was ready for such words, but deep inside, a spark of hope lit within him. That night, as the boy rested against the young dragon, his dreams were filled with visions. He saw flames across the galaxy, alien fleets darkening the stars, and humans hiding in fear. Then he saw himself standing tall on his dragon, golden light bursting from his hands, as other humans and dragons rose behind him. The vision felt so real that he woke with his heart pounding. When dawn came, Seraph led him to the edge of the valley. Beyond the mountains, smoke rose from distant villages, human settlements. Your kind is out there, Seraph said. Scattered, broken, surviving under alien rule. If the bond has returned, it is not only for dragons. It is for humans too. You must show them. The boy hesitated. He had never spoken to other humans. The aliens had always kept him apart, treating him like nothing. Would humans even accept him? Or would they reject him too? The young dragon nudged him gently, as if to say he was not alone. The boy placed his hand on its warm scales and nodded. I'll go. But not to be their leader. Just to give them hope. The journey to the nearest human village was long. The boy rode on the dragon's back, soaring above forests and rivers. At first, people below screamed and ran when they saw the dragon. They hid in houses, slamming doors shut. But when the boy guided the dragon to land outside the village, he did not see fear in every face. Some stared with wide eyes, filled with wonder. He climbed down slowly, raising his hands. I'm not here to hurt you, he said. His voice trembled, but he stood tall. I was abandoned by the aliens, just like many of you. But I found a dragon, and together we fought them back. The villagers murmured in disbelief. An old man stepped forward, leaning on a cane. His eyes narrowed. A child, riding a dragon? That is impossible. The boy looked back at his companion. The dragon stretched its wings and let out a roar that shook the ground. Golden fire lit the sky, and gasps of awe spread through the crowd. The boy lifted his glowing hand. It's not impossible. It's real. I don't know why, but I was chosen. And I swear, I'll use this bond to fight back. Not just for me. For all of us. For a moment, silence hung heavy. Then a young girl stepped forward, her eyes shining. If dragons kneel to him, she whispered, maybe we can stand again. The old man's face softened. He bowed his head slightly, the first human to do so. One by one, others followed. Some dropped to their knees. Some raised their fists. The boy's chest tightened with emotion. For the first time, humans were looking at him not with pity or disgust, but with hope. That night, the boy and his dragon stayed in the village. People brought them food, water, and blankets. Children touched the dragon's scales with wonder, and the boy told them stories of the battle in the valley. He spoke of the fire, the roar of dragons, and the way they had stood against the aliens. But even as laughter filled the air, the boy could not shake the shadow in his heart. He remembered the voice that had thundered from the stars after the battle. You have awakened what should have stayed forgotten. The next morning, his fear proved true. Scouts ran into the village shouting, "The sky! Look at the sky!" Everyone rushed outside. Above them, a massive alien ship hung like a black sun, larger than any they had seen before. Its hull was covered in strange glowing symbols, and its weapons glowed red, ready to fire. The boy's blood turned cold. He could feel its presence, like a storm pressing against his chest. This was no ordinary alien ship. This was something older, darker, more powerful. The villagers panicked. Some ran. Others screamed. But the boy climbed onto his dragon's back, his eyes locked on the sky. He was shaking, but he did not back down. "They're not just here for us," he whispered. "They're here for the bond." The dragon roared, flames bursting from its jaws. The boy raised his glowing hand. He was no longer just the abandoned child. He was the chosen one, and the galaxy was about to learn it. The black ship filled the sky, so vast that it seemed to swallow the sun. Its shadow fell across the mountains, the forests, the human village. The boy sat on the dragon's back, staring up at it. His hands trembled, but his eyes did not turn away. He knew this ship was different from the others. It was older, stronger, and darker. He could feel it in his bones, as if the very stars whispered of its power. The villagers panicked, scattering in fear. Mothers pulled children into houses. Men grabbed old weapons that would do nothing against the giants above. The boy heard their cries and felt their terror. He remembered his own nights of fear, abandoned and alone. But he was no longer alone. The dragon beneath him shifted its wings, fire glowing faintly in its throat. Together, they were something new. Together, they were something the aliens feared. Sereth and the other dragons swept down from the mountains. Their scales gleamed in the pale light, their wings stirring hurricanes as they landed beside the boy. Sereth's voice rumbled. "This is no ordinary ship. This is a war relic. An ancient vessel built to end bonds like ours. Long ago, it burned whole worlds." The boy's heart tightened. "Then this is the fight we were chosen for." The dragons exchanged glances. Finally, Sereth bowed her head. "Yes. This is the final stand." The great ship opened, and from its belly poured legions of alien soldiers, more than the boy had ever seen. Their weapons glowed red, humming with deadly power. Behind them walked towering machines, beasts of metal that shook the earth with every step. Above, smaller ships swarmed like insects, blocking out the stars. The boy felt the dragon beneath him growl, its chest burning with fire. He lifted his glowing hands. "We fight together," he whispered. The dragon roared, and the sound carried through the valley, silencing human screams. Heads turned. Faces lifted. Fear slowly turned into something else, hope. The humans gathered, clutching spears, bows, and whatever tools they had. They were weak, but they stood. The boy's voice carried across the village. "They called us nothing. They threw us away. But look." He pointed at the dragon. "They fear us because of this bond. And today, we show them why." The aliens surged forward. The battle began. Dragons took to the sky, their fire raining down on alien ranks. Humans shot arrows and hurled spears, small but fierce. The boy and his dragon soared above the battlefield, weaving through blasts of energy, striking with fire and golden light. Together, they struck down machines twice their size. Together, they broke through alien shields. But the war relic ship was merciless. Its massive cannons turned toward the mountains and unleashed beams that cut through stone like paper. Cliffs crumbled, dragons fell, and screams filled the air. The boy felt rage and sorrow tear through him. He raised his glowing hands, and once again, golden energy burst outward. This time, it spread not just around him, but across the battlefield. Dragons felt it first. Their fire burned brighter, their wings beat stronger. Humans felt it too. Their fear lessened, their arms steadied. The bond was no longer just between one boy and one dragon. It was spreading, touching everyone who fought. Human and dragon. Heart and flame. The aliens saw it and panicked. "End them!" their leader shouted from the ship. The great cannon began to charge, glowing with red light, building energy enough to destroy the valley and everyone in it. The boy looked up, his heart pounding. He knew if that cannon fired, everything would be gone. The dragon beneath him growled, ready to burn itself out in one final blaze. The boy whispered, "Together." They soared higher than ever before, wings tearing through smoke and fire. The boy's hands blazed like twin suns, the dragon's jaws glowed with white-hot flame. As the cannon released its deadly beam, they struck. Golden light and dragonfire clashed with alien energy. The sky exploded in brilliance, brighter than 1,000 suns. The shockwave rolled across the land, shaking mountains and silencing all sound. For a moment, it seemed nothing could survive. But then, through the burning light, the ship cracked. Its armor split, its cannons shattered, and its massive frame began to fall. The war relic, the great destroyer, crumbled in fire and smoke. Silence followed. Slowly, the clouds cleared. The boy and his dragon hovered in the air, glowing faintly but alive. Below, humans and dragons raised their voices in cheers and roars. The aliens, what remained of them, fled into the stars. The boy landed, exhausted but smiling. Sereth approached, bowing her great head. "You have done what none thought possible. You are the Bond reborn. You are the hope of humans and dragons." The villagers knelt. The dragons lowered their wings. The boy's chest tightened with emotion. He had been abandoned, discarded, unwanted. Yet here he stood, not alone, not worthless, but chosen. The young dragon curled its neck around him, its eyes burning with pride. He whispered, "We did it. Together." But as he looked at the sky, his smile faded. The stars above seemed darker now, as if watching. He knew this was only the beginning. The aliens would not forget. More would come. Stronger, fiercer, determined to end what had begun here. The boy placed his hand on the dragon's scales. His eyes were tired, but steady. "Let them come," he whispered. "We'll be ready." The dragon roared, and its call echoed across the mountains, carrying far into the stars, where enemies listened and allies stirred. The bond had returned. And destiny was only beginning.